What's that? Isn't it Lebanon Aquatic District? Is what the YouTube channel is, right?
You're asking how you find them.
I can search for Lebanon Aquatic.
Yes, Lebanon Aquatic District. All right, we are live.
Okay,
Yeah, she hasn't opened the beginning, so then.
see if I can get to it.
And if they follow the channel, it should give a notification.
Let me go back to Zoom. There we go.
Okay, call to order, roll call, Jeremy. Mark, here, Kim. Lori. Lori's on her way. Peg,
Here.
Orly.
Yep.
Jill,
Here.
pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic
For which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, adjustments to the agenda, tonight's agenda.
Yes,
Okay.
I have one adjustment and, Corey is not gonna be able to come tonight because the meeting got moved, so
40.1 will be postponed.
she'll be here for the February meeting.
Okay. That's our only adjustment to the current agenda.
That I have.
Okay, 20.0, consent calendar, approved December minutes from regular and executive session board meeting.
We accept the, December minutes as mailed.
We have a motion to accept as is, to have a second, all in favor? Aye.
I,
Okay. 30.0, unfinished business, 30.1. Oh, that's Lori. Let's go to, we'll go to.
Well, I mean, Jeremy, did you guys meet since the last meeting?
So no, nothing new on 30.1. 30.2, resolution to adopt public contracting rules, Lori.
Okay, so, everybody was sent a copy of those, the resolution to amend the public contracting rules. So, you guys wanna,
I didn't print them out. I read them. So give me, I don't.
So as we go through the rules, and there is one adjustment I would personally like to make. Laura, we asked our lawyer about it, and she said it's up to the board, and there's a paragraph on there. That talks about us giving preference to people of color. And other such things, the ownership status paragraph here. And I don't believe that is necessary to open the door for us to discriminate against people. Which I don't think we would ever do, so why are we opening the door? The other paragraphs here, where we and I talked about, allow her the flexibility to choose really anybody we want. So my preference would be that we remove that paragraph. And then
Which one was that?
that's the ownership status and
It's on-
employment practice.
page 3, and it's like middle way, like almost in the very middle.
That is, this whole section is copied almost verbatim from the ORS, that Oregon put together. So this is Oregon's
So we-
suggested maybe,
I'm sort of wondering, some of it, if the verbiage is required, I just don't know.
according to the lawyer.
Okay, if it's not required.
The lawyer says that it's up to the board whether or not we want to keep it. It is state wording, the default ORS state wording.
So we're gonna remove this one,
If the board approves it, we would strike that, no, one below.
ownership status.
The ownership one, that bullet point.
So are you gonna make a motion?
I make a motion that we accept this document as is, striking that one paragraph.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
I.
Okay. So that's all we need on 30.2. 30.3, lease agreement update between LED and LCSD. So what's,
Okay,
what, Lebanon Aquatic District, what's LCSD?
the Lebanon School District.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry,
the
fire
facility use agreement that
okay.
is out of date. Yeah, so I met with Will Lewis, with the school district, and so he's gonna get us like the latest version, and hopefully we'll have it at the next meeting, and then you guys can look it over and debate it and stuff. There was just some old language and some old requirements in the original one. Because, you know, this was, the high school pool. And so, the old one had the aquatic district basically going to the school district multiple times throughout the year to like get approval on like our schedule and our programming and I haven't done that since I've been director, and I don't know how much Gus did when he was director, so they thought that wasn't necessary at all, like that needs to get taken out. So anyways, that's what I have to update, is that we'll get a copy and then we can hash over what we want.
Out of curiosity, are they allowing you input into the process, or is it just all in a black box with them at the moment?
Well, I mean, we talked about, you know, when I met with them and, you know,
You guys have kind of gone over it together.
yeah, so, but, you know, I mean, I don't know what all there's gonna be in there or what they're gonna take out of the old one. I mean, they wanna take all that stuff about us getting all this permission from them for, you know, like our programming things, that's silly. And they agreed that was silly. So, but as far as, you know, like financially, what they want us to be on the hook for or whatever, like, I don't know. So, but, you know, that's where, once we get it, then we can, you know, say, well, we like this, we don't like that.
So the ball's in their court.
Does their board have to approve it?
I mean, I'm sure, but for right now, I mean, I kind of got the impression that we would kind of come, you know, an agreement on what we like. And then, then they would, you know, take it to their school board and, you know, and approve it or whatever.
As they're going through that process, are they aware of some of our difficulties and maybe some, I think we're kind of hoping to help them, or are they kind of not
Well,
clued in?
No, I mean, they, you know, we tried to do this joint bond measure, you know, together, so. I mean, they absolutely know our plight, but I mean, they have their own, you know, issue, like, oh yeah, so anyways. And Will's a really good guy, like, you know, he's been really helpful, I mean, I've reached out to him on budget things before, and so, you know, and I mean, you know, I personally know the school superintendent, Jennifer, I mean, you know, so I am not worried that they're gonna do anything, you know, that would harm the district at all. And, you know, they love having the pool here, and I love being right next to the high school, so it's definitely it's a good relationship, and we wanna do everything we can to keep it.
I'm sure they don't want it back.
No, because that'd be a huge liability for one thing, I mean, what are they gonna do with the pool? So.
Okay,
Do you want to skip to the director stuff and wait for Lori on the other item?
On the new contract?
Yeah.
Yeah,
we could go to 60, director's report. Good idea.
yeah, okay. Find it. Okay, so. That's all. Anyways, dang it, where's my? Oh, here it is, okay. All right, so, the first thing I wanted to talk about is the financials. And so that, the balance sheet, like to look at that every month. Also with financials, because it's tax season for our bookkeeping service, we generally don't get financials, for January. And February's, we'll have January financials. January and February and March. Yeah, so for the next 2 months, we're not gonna have financials. But, I mean, I can still give people kind of the ballpark, you know, of how we're doing. Okay, so does anybody want the copies? What's the general fund?
I'll just share with you. All right, we'll go over on there.
I figured you did, so. I copied mine.
There we go.
Yes.
Okay, and then the balance sheet.
And then did you,
It's the general fund.
that's okay. And you said you had audits for us today too?
Well, Corey was supposed to
She was
come.
gonna bring them.
Yeah, I have them, but I was gonna have her, you know, when she talked about the audit, then we have the audit.
Okay.
Yes, so. Okay, so, the balance sheet. Okay. Did I give them all away? Okay, we have, well, that, now I have, yes, thank you. Okay, sorry. Okay, so the balance sheet basically looks at what we have in our different accounts for as of the end of December. And we have, there's money in the reserve fund, there's the PEP fund, we have our swim club checking account, and then we have the pool's money market, which one of these days, it's all gonna get taken care of with the LGIP. So then that money market is gonna go away, and then we'll have a new statement to look at every month, which would be the LGIP. And so for this fiscal, right now, year to date, our balance sheet assets, our total current assets were 842,171. Well, last year at, for 12/30/22, we had 753,170. So we had 89,000 more dollars in our assets right now than we did last year. And then the swim club, you see the swim club where it says negative 37,054. Well, the swim club basically, the general fund pays the coaches. So what we normally do, and I'm gonna propose that we do this next month, but we basically, it doesn't take a resolution, it's just a motion, but we move money, we take money out of the swim club's checking account, and then we pay back some of that to the general fund. So for instance, the swim club checking account is 32,284. Well, I would propose that we take like 18,000 of that, and we then pay back some of that to the general fund. So we normally do that every year, so. And, you know, the goal is for the swim club eventually, you know, to be able financially to, you know, not have to use the general fund to.
So the swim club is, loses money.
Yes, it has
And
been.
We help them.
So anyways, and Tina and I, our bookkeeper, talked about that just a couple days ago about, I think we normally do it at the beginning of the fiscal year or maybe at the end of the fiscal year. So the last time we took money out of the swim club checking and then moved it into the general fund. I mean, it's, you know, it's probably been like last May or June that we did that. So, and we don't take all of their money out of their checking account because, you know, they still have some money in there that they can.
I think they had a very successful weekend.
Yeah, they had a swim meet this weekend, which is one of the ways that they make money. Although we didn't have quite the turnout that we've had in the past, so. And then, that basically makes it so they don't have as much, money that they're getting from the swim meet. So
They made about 23,
Yeah.
including the meat, so.
yeah, and then I know like one good thing is that, it's a fairly new team. We've got a whole bunch of new kids, new swimmers, new parents. And there a couple parents came in and talked to Jim and I just this evening and said they want to start up the parent board. And they've already got a parent that would be the president and another parent that would be vice president. So, and then of course that parent board would be actively helping to fundraise and,
Well, for the 12 years I've been on the swim club, I like this new wave of swimmers and
Yeah.
parents.
yeah, they seem to be really on fire and really helpful. So that's nice. So anyways. So that's what I wanted to mention with the balance sheet and then also with the swim club fund. And then as far as the monthly December financials, I've got plenty of those, we won't have back. We are running slightly ahead on our programming revenue, so that's nice. And, our lowest months are usually, November starts to trail off and December is low and January is low because we don't offer lessons, as many lessons during those times because of the holidays. But we started up our lesson program, January 3rd, 2nd, that Tuesday. And they filled up super fast. And so then as soon as high school swimming is over, which it's only like 2 more weeks, then we'll have our full lesson offering back. And so then you'll see that, the lesson income start to really climb.
Well, I've seen the warm pool from 5 to 6, you have it maxed out.
I know. Well, today, Rose made the comment, the water jogging class this morning, there was 13 out there?
14.
15.
I counted 15.
15, and there's normally like 6 or whatever. And so Rose was like, man, you would think that today is like January 1st, because everybody like, oh, I gotta exercise. And so anyways, that was encouraged, but yeah, we were full this morning. I mean, gym's class was clear full, the water jogging was, yeah, so that's nice. And we just gotta keep them this day coming. Okay, and then as far as expenses. Sorry, you guys. I'm just going over financials.
Okay, this must be my seat.
It is.
I see your name in front of it.
Okay.
You must have had it parked a little ways, huh?
I drove around a couple times till somebody pulled out.
Okay, so, I mean, as far as expenses, there's nothing like too, out of whack. You can see that under building maintenance on the second, or the 3rd page, we have year to date, we're at almost 24,000. And which gives us only $12,000 more, give or take, for the rest of the fiscal year. So we've really been kind of going through the building maintenance. And, and again, like, putting 36,000 into that category is a healthy amount. But, with the older pool and things break and of course stuff breaks when you least expect it to. So, we're gonna talk about a resolution to move money here in a bit, but part of that is to put some more money back into the building maintenance. Because, I mean, I just anticipate that if things just keep kind of going the way they're going, then we might run out of that money between now and the end of June, so. Better to kind of do it now than later. And then,
A question on that, do we have a list of the building maintenance items that were performed this month?
yeah, I could detail it out for you. I mean, I don't have that right with me, but.
That just might be kind of fun to see each month where that of all the things I have around here, building maintenance is something I'm interested in.
Okay, yeah, I can tally those kind of things up. So just like off the top of my head, so for instance, we've talked about the warm pool, I believe, I brought this up, that, so the warm pool surge tank has this modulating valve in there. And so it, basically it has to do with how much water displacement is going on out there, right? And when it, then we have a water makeup valve, so if for some reason the water is too low, then it will automatically fill. Well, the problem is, we've been chasing this tail like ever since we had our closure in September. The water makeup valve basically overfills the worm pool a lot. Well, there's been times where, you know, the guards are like, hey, the worm pool's about ready to like break over the edge. And it's like, what, you know, and so then we're having to like turn the water makeup off. Well, then if you're not remembering that you turned that off, then it's too low. So anyways, it's a pain not to have. Well, so we've been trying different things and it has these two floats. It's kind of like your tank in your toilet, right? You have that flapper valve. And well, the surge tank is just like that, only there's these two floats. And well, what happened is those floats are on these arms that are at an angle. But we had a pool, like some pool equipment people come in and they got to looking at that and they're like, you know, those floats need to be literally up and down rather than an angle. Because the surge tank has this big metal, like angle iron, like frame in there. And so then those floats get hung up on that frame because they're tilted. So that's one of the things that we've spent money on trying to figure out. And so now we've got some other bushings and things coming so they can, put the floats having to go up and down. So that's one thing that we've spent money on. And then, but I can get you that list. And then just, you know, like painting stuff or fixing stuff or, you know, there's always something. So. Anyways, so that was that on the, any other questions about the finances?
I do have one. We're replacing our heater. We have a timeline for premise, timeline for initiating the work, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was the next item on my thing. So the boiler, okay, so we approved that we're gonna go ahead and get a new boiler. And it's already been purchased by the contractor and it's sitting at his, you know, at his, company.
This is the 2-boiler system?
Mhm. Yep, 2 boilers. So then we're scheduled to do the repairs between March 26th and April 7th. And yeah, so we're ready to go on that. Now, what happened during the ice storm was completely not related to the boiler, but it did affect our heat. So everything was going along fine for the first half. And then literally the last like 24 hours of the ice storm, the boiler conked out. So then we didn't have any heat. And then, you know, it was so cold outside, right? That all that cold air just like came right through into those pipes. And then it froze our coil. Okay, and it just looks like kind of like your radiator in your car, okay? And of course, you know, it was treacherous getting down here, but we have a vehicle that won't go anywhere. And so I drug my husband down here. I'm like, hey, we gotta go down and reset the boiler. And so we're okay, so we made it in here and we go, you know, we reset the boiler and I look on the controller and it still is in like alarm. And so then we walk into the men's locker room because it said it's like, you know, 35 degrees in the men's locker room. And I'm like, what? How, even if the heat turned off, like how could it be that cold? And so we go in there and I'm kidding you not, it's the coil, it's up above your head, right? And it's like encased in ice. And there's ice on the chase that like ice. And of course my husband's like, that's not good. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And so we tried to, you know, we got fans going on in there. We cranked up other heat to try and get more airflow in there. And Chris is just like, man, he goes, I sure hope you didn't break this when it froze because, which is exactly what happened, okay? And so then, as we started to thaw out and the heat started to, come back, and Jim was just like, what are we gonna do? And I'm like, well, we're gonna know shortly because once everything really thaws out, we're gonna lose all our boiler fluid, like right here. Which then he sent me a picture, like, what was it, Tuesday morning, Monday morning?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, we know. And so, of course, we lost all our boiler fluid because that broke. And then he had to come back down here and then get the boiler to fill back up with water. So we basically closed that off, shut off a bunch of valves and cleaned up the locker room and got rid of all that boiler fluid off the floor. And so we don't have any heat in the men's locker room. And those coils, you can't just go buy one off the shelf. They're custom made for your system. So we're probably looking like 4 weeks out to have a new heat coil there. And to give you a little idea, we had to replace the main coil for the building in the big mechanical room. Now this thing is huge, right? It's like 5 feet tall, at least by 5 feet wide, and it's like this thick, it's all copper, which is why it's expensive. And that thing was, it was a couple $1,000, just the coil, and then all the labor, so this thing is like a quarter of that size. So I haven't even seen the bids yet on that.
Does that fall under the building maintenance bucket? For that?
Yep.
Do we have any remediations so we can avoid the freeze in the future instead of just replacing it? Is that something?
The way that this thing is set up, no, not really.
That's all tied to the boiler?
Well, okay, so there's some different theories as to what happened, but basically, we're always exhausting air, okay, because if you think about pools, right, like you've got fumes and chloramines and all this stuff. So we want to always keep our building at a negative air pressure. And so that's why you notice that when you open the doors, sometimes it's like, it takes a little bit of effort to open these front doors. And then also when these front doors are open, then the locker room doors want to slam shut. Yeah, it's because we're trying to like always force air out the building. Okay, well, the problem with the heat, okay, is if you're not consciously pumping in heat, then you've got air from your building, outside air is coming back in. So that was kind of our problem, is when the boiler went off, then we had all that flow of cold air and it just, and it's full of water, right? That coil is full of water. And so it just froze. So I don't think we can really fix it.
We have a natural gas heating system that's separate from the boiler, right?
No, we have a boiler that does the building heat and the pool temperatures, the pool water, that's the boiler.
But it does everything.
And then my office has another unit on the roof that has AC and separate heat. But it's just my office and this room, so that's why, like, if the boiler goes down, I usually always still have office heat. And we have a domestic water heater that does the shower water and the sink water. So we'll still have hot showers if we lose the boiler. And then the other problem I just have to say with the whole boiler issue is the controller. This is what we really need. We need to find somebody, I don't know if Jeremy, if this falls in your wheelhouse or not, but so when Hunter Davison actually did the work back in 2011 to do the whole HVAC renovation, they basically built that controller and then they didn't want to service it after a while. And so then basically Gus had trouble trying to find somebody, because you have to be a computer programmer to get in there and change anything. You really do. Cause it's all code, it's all computer code. And so then I used NCC, which is out of Portland, okay, so then they came down and would work on it and stuff. And it just it's expensive, but the problem is Hunter Davidson has some of it locked out, like they have proprietary, like there's parts of their code that even NCC couldn't get to. And then NCC's gone in there and tried to do stuff. And so you've literally got ghosts in the machine, literally, okay? So I think some of our issues are, we've got some bad code in that controller. Because think about all the technology where we are now, right? It's a lot better than 2010 when they built it, okay? And I mean, I've got other pool colleagues, for instance, the Lively Aquatic Center, Willamette Lane Park and Rec. Their guy, Mert, he's a pretty tech guy, and he's been there like 30 years. Well, he was able to basically, they were having the same issues, we're talking 10, 15 years ago. And he was able to get in there and basically write a whole new controller for and they have 2 pools. Like, anyways, it's nice, but I mentioned to my husband, I'm like, I gotta find somebody who can write us a new program or something, because the men's locker room is never warm enough like the women's locker room. We're always fighting that, and I don't think it's because it's mechanically laid out wrong. I think it has to do with the controller. Like here, a few weeks back, I was out on deck coaching, and it was just like, man, it's hot in here. And everybody was complaining, like, man, it's hot. And I go in the locker room, and I'm like, ooh, the women's locker room was just crazy hot. And we have a thermometer, a thermostat thing that sits up on a bank of lockers. And I went and grabbed that thing, and I set it in the locker room up on a shelf, not way high, but about shoulder level. And I left it, and I continued coaching, and then I went back 45 minutes later, and the women's locker room was 89 degrees. And I'm just like, what is going on here? And so, and I went and I look at the controller, and the controller is telling me that, oh, your space temperature is 76. And I'm just like, no.
With the new boiler, is all that gonna go away?
No, see, that's the problem. The new boiler, yes, it's gonna be this great new equipment, but then I still got this clunky, not effective controller.
So we wanna put that out of pressure.
Well, I mean, I haven't looked into it because it's gonna be tens of thousands, easily, probably. So, I don't know, it's just, it worries me because we're gonna have this new equipment with the same crazy controller issues. So,
We should,
I mean, I could
Sure.
start inquiring, and
I think,
so I don't know, it's for, I mean, not just anybody, you can't just have any just HVAC person go in there and just start, changing stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's super specialized.
where is it located?
Well,
Not that
okay, so you can get on my computer, it's all web-based, right? So I can get on and access the controller and see, that's how come I knew, it's like, no, you're telling me one thing, but I
Yeah.
know you're lying. Like, you're not 76 degrees, there's no way. Like, something is wrong, you think you're 76, but I'm telling you, you're 89 or whatever, I mean, it was stupid. And so we fight that on occasion, and so then, like, for that day, Jim went in there and did a temporary override and basically stopped heating. And then he lowered the set point. And then that seemed to fit, we haven't had that happen again, but it's like, why did that happen? And then like for instance, could it have been a controller issue that really caused the coil to freeze over? I mean, my husband thinks yes, but of course, NCT were like, oh, no, it wasn't the control. Well, I'm not so sure. But, I mean, I'll look into it, but I'm just afraid we're looking at 30,000 to 100,000. It's nuts because the amount of labor that it would take somebody, you know, that's why like Mert at the Willamette Lane Park and Rec, I mean, you know, he was able to just take the months and just build a controller for their facility because, you know, he could do it.
So we can have the programming table, the controller, actually communicate.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's certain things that you can get into and see it. You know, I don't know what language it's in, but
Is the part
It's-
locked out that you spoke of proprietary stuff
mean-
that you can't see?
some of it, because I know NCC has, when they've gone in there to change stuff or to, you know, alter things, they've had trouble because, you know, there's just bits and pieces of all this. And you know, like, I mean, you could have something work great and then there's this, it comes to this piece of just random bad code and then it's all messed up.
Literally, at this point, I mean, we could go over and over
Yeah.
and over this, and you can't fix it here. So why don't we
Yeah.
move on and instruct you to do whatever you can to fix it? I have to laugh. I told my guys in my class this morning, you know, they're coming out of the locker room shivering. I said, well, the water's gonna feel really warm now.
Yeah.
It was funny.
Well, anyways, but you're absolutely right. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to mention was, and I printed it off. So, you know how I have been going through all the resolutions? And what I did first was I basically cataloged all the resolutions from the very beginning. It's resolutions and ordinance and like any official, like, for instance, you know, when LAD was formed. I mean, it's not really a resolution, but it, you know, it's the vote that took place and all that. And then our legal description and all of that, and the formation order of the district. Anyways, they started at the very beginning and I just went up to present day. And so we have almost 6 full pages worth. And so, and this, you know, this, we can just keep adding to it and make it however many pages it'll be. And then I'm in the process of, just like our public contracting rules that, you know, we just adopted. I mean, there are some other older resolutions in there that we need to update. And so anyways, we'll just be bringing those, you know, I'll just bring them up at next subsequent meetings. And then, you know, but anyway, so this was kind of cool because there was some stuff in here that I was just like, whoa, like, when did they do that? And anyway, so it's been a really cool thing just to go back to the whole history and to make it all in order. And then I got this new binder that's like giant and I put everything in page protectors and everything is in order as they're here. So if somebody wants to, oh, I wanna see whatever from 2002 or whatever, it's like, oh, right here. So, yeah, I mean, and then we can digitize, you know, the current ones and so, yeah. So anyways,
Yeah, it's a big job. Well, Mark, we could go back to 40.2, I think.
Okay, so director report, we're done.
pretty much, I mean,
Okay, so 60, going back to 40 now. I've already here.
Wait, do we need to vote on the resolution first?
It's
Well,
up in,
the,
No, 60.3, the resolution for the moving the money for the boiler, isn't that what that resolution is?
yeah, well, yeah, now that we talked about it, so here is a copy, I think I only have 3 or 4 of them.
oh, I have this.
Is this the thing you sent out an email already?
Oh, wait, did I give you the right one or did I give you?
No.
You gave her contract.
Okay,
You gave her-
sorry.
So where are we?
Okay, so this is, resolution to transfer funds, so 40.3, sorry, I gave you the wrong. Here, Laura.
Reverse transfer.
Yeah, so basically what I'm proposing,
We saw this in the email, right?
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're going to 40.3 and we haven't done
But I-
40.2 yet.
Well, they're not
It-
related, so we can do 40.3.
Well, we're finishing 60.3. She handed this out to the super, this is 60.3.
yeah, so I am all done with 60.3.
Except the resolution, don't we need to vote on
Oh,
it?
that's 40.3.
For the-
40.3, we can go ahead since we're chatting.
Resolution to transfer funds is
Oh, I
40.3.
didn't,
I just,
you know what? You must have updated that because my agenda that I printed has it under 60.3.
well, okay, but 60.3 is the past current resolutions project.
And
Oh.
That's-
that
that's
thing
that-
you just
The
did.
historical and
We've
putting
done
it all,
that.
yeah,
Okay,
yes, sorry.
and mine didn't have a 40.3, so that's why I was confused.
Oh, this was the new
Yeah, and that's right.
approved agenda.
So let's go 40.3 since we're talking about the boiler and that's what that's what we need to transfer.
We're gonna skip 40.2.
Well, we're coming back to that next.
Okay.
Okay,
Because
so,
We're gonna put the boiler, we're gonna finish with the boiler.
yeah,
Okay, so what
okay,
is,
so you wanna just read it,
oh,
or
where's
somebody,
this one?
yes,
This one, very whole thing.
yeah.
Okay, Lebanon Aquatic District Resolution Number 2024-01-2. A resolution to reverse the transfer from the general fund into the reserve fund. Reverse the transfer from the general fund into the reserve fund and to transfer money from the personal services into capital and building maintenance within the general fund. Whereas the Board of Directors, Board of the Lebanon Aquatic District has determined that the transfer of $70,000 from general fund into the reserve fund for the 23-24 fiscal year needs to be reversed and put into the capital category within the general fund to help offset the cost of the boiler. And whereas the Board of Directors of the Lebanon Aquatic District has determined that there is sufficient funds in the district's personal services category for fiscal year 23-24 in the amount of $25,000. Whereas ORS 294.361W permits the board to reverse the transfer to reserve funds and transfer funds from the personal services category of the municipal corporation to the capital category and materials and services building maintenance category when authorized by an official resolution. Now, therefore, the board acting as the governing body of the district hereby resolves as follows. That the board hereby authorizes a reversal of transfer to the district's reserve fund of $70,000 and directs that amount to be transferred to the district's capital expense category in the general fund 23-24 fiscal year. Number two, that the board hereby authorizes a transfer from the district's personnel services category to the district's capital category in the amount of $15,000. The district's materials and services building maintenance category in the amount of $10,000. Number three, that the executive director is hereby authorized to effect these transfers. Approved and adopted on.
I move that we adopt resolution 2024-01-2.
And with a minor spelling correction.
Who's that?
I got a spelling error.
Oh,
Peggy, you missed it?
I guess I did, I just saw it.
I've read through this and I missed it. Where is it?
It's the second transfer at the very top. Yes, and yeah for transfers.
Oh, yeah, transfers, how do you say that?
Oh, picky pig. I'm gonna
You're
second,
rubbing off on me, babe.
I'm gonna second the motion.
We have a motion. We'll look at the spelling correction.
Spelling. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Great.
So moved.
So that's 40.3, the only thing, oh, we do have. We still have several things to do. 40.2,
Just real quick here, do you have the, public contracting resolution that has the vote thing on the first page? 'Cause I
this one,
think I handed it, yes, just make sure that thing gets signed.
Papers.
okay, well, I crossed out the one paragraph. on this.
Oh, yeah, that's fine, that's fine. Yeah, just, we can do it at the end of the meeting, but just don't let me forget, okay, sorry.
So you just want to sign now.
Well, board chair signs it, and then, you date it, which we date it, and then Jill usually signs it.
Oh, okay, so before they sign this.
Yeah, I just couldn't find it in my file, so.
Where's my pen?
The 22nd, January 22nd. Thanks.
Okay, 40.2.
This one was.
Board, I have to, I told Eileen and send you back our final, it's just to get a final.
So the
draft. I need the new salary numbers after we did the vote
Oh,
at the last meeting.
okay.
With the increase.
I don't.
So you have a paper copy?
I do.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'll make all the updates and then I'll send it over to
So,
her, and then she'll send it back to her.
So we're still back and forth on making everyone happy.
Okay, so one question, so Tina's asked me when my raise is supposed to take effect. And, cause normally it's retroactive, but I didn't wanna say it was unless you guys all.
I assume that would be correct.
So we will have to fix that because the contract says starting January. So
You. Wow. We really should have started it at the end of the contract period, which was what, October
Well,
31st,
did,
I believe.
November
So
1st.
November 1st.
That's what I was saying.
And I make a motion that we fix that. Change that date. Is that addendum B
it's exhibit B, yeah.
exhibit?
Yeah, it says effective, and then there was another place that had a date. What number are we on?
we're on Laurel's contract.
We're skipping around.
Okay,
So this agreement in full will be effective starting December 18th. So this, it was passed. Is that when we were here? So that's when this agreement will start, once we agree and sign it. And then the salary page is January 1st is when this new salary will start, so.
Because we postponed a previous meeting to, determine, it seems only fair to me that we do make it retroactive to the, contract date that ended. Then, because it isn't that, her time between November 1st to December 18th didn't matter. I believe it did. If we start that contract December 18th, then, is that to be our new date? This is what I'd ask. New date of each year?
Yearly
That's
contract, to begin, I think it's been November 1st in the past.
it has.
Yes, naturally,
So
So,
you want to fix the term date
yes.
to November 1st?
yes, I think so. Yeah,
I don't know that we need a motion for that.
Okay, so November 1st.
November 1st,
retroactive
That's what it's
pay raise.
And then
And-
also for the salary page to November 1st.
yes, if we all agree with that.
Yeah, but I remember we did have to delay that from November to December. And
Yes.
I
we are
think you need to, I think you need to have.
I disagree with the salary amount, but the date does seem logical.
I know you disagree with the amount, but in the vote,
Yes,
It
the
did
date,
pass.
and your argument for the date is perfectly logical.
okay,
So Jill said we do need a motion.
I think.
well, cause Tina will want to see the copy of the minutes, like,
Okay.
it needs to have a motion.
I move then that we make the date changes as per Kim. Meaning new contract or the change will be the contract, effective date will be November first, and that the raise that we voted is retroactive to November first. That's my motion.
My second.
We have a motion and a second, all in
That's
favor?
specifically for the change, that's not for the entire contract, right?
Just for the, yeah, for the change of date.
Okay, all in favor?
And Lori, did you find the number?
I don't have it with me today.
Okay,
I
can
can,
you email it to me?
Yes.
Or do you know what it is?
Yeah, it was in that email you sent me.
The new number?
Yeah, yeah, it was on those minutes of the executive session,
oh, I do have that.
or here, I can find it in.
That's a minute, I didn't think of it. Yeah, it's not in the minutes. But maybe, because Lori had read the number and I didn't write it down.
And I have two different notebooks and it's written in the other one.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, I see, it says a 3.2
Starts with an
and
E.
the.
Yeah, it does. We have a percentage. That has the percentage in it.
That
Does
is 84.
Oh, yeah. That
it
was
have the total?
exactly.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah,
Thinking.
I know I saw it in the minutes.
Yeah.
All right. 84,821 and. And then, so there was something she asked me about, Laura Lee, that was a little bit on pause during the, while we were sitting and she was out of town. So it says for vacation accrual, 15 days per calendar year. Do you use all your days in the year, or do you have usually carryover days?
I mean, it just kind of depends, sometimes I have a few carryover days.
Because she said if we want to put carryover days, we have to vote on how many carryover days. The board has to approve how many carryover days we're putting in the contract. So
You're
just 5 days.
Yeah, 1 week ago, I thought it was all done.
Some are very picky where they don't let you carry over. My job was to carry over.
You have carryover from that previous years.
I mean, like this year, like right now, like I have more vacation than normal because I didn't use up all my vacation. So, but I know that like when I first became the director, when Hal was on board, you know, they, again, and it was just board at that time, but they were like, well, we'll let you carry over up to 30 days so that, you could take a big trip or something. But that is a lot, I agree with that.
So up to this point, you've been just carrying over anything that's extra, and it's been flexible, each year's been different.
Well, and the other thing I wanted to ask about too, so it's 15 days per calendar year. Does that make sense? And the reason I say that is if the contract term is November to November, shouldn't November to November be the vacation term and not the
That's what I was.
January to December? Because it should follow the contract, because then you're trying to
Yes.
remember, well, then start over in
And it
January.
does, it does.
So it should, so not, so,
Good.
I will say, I will change this to 15 days per contract.
And up to this
Says
point,
per calendar year. Is all your leave like that? Did you have 3 days of personal?
Well, so the sick leave doesn't, you can only carry over up, because the state, the law is only, they only let you carry over a week, like 5 days for.
This actually says a maximum of 80 hours, which is
Right.
in here. Right. So, but again, it's 10 days per calendar year. So everything she put in here is per calendar year. So do we want
You wanna
all of them
change that
updated
to
with contract?
Yeah,
year?
I know, it's always,
My job's always been for, I don't care, I'd say I do whatever you want. But for me, I would do calendar year, 'cause that's what my job's always done, it seems more logical in my own brain.
well, we normally do, like, for instance, like, it's here, it's been on the anniversary of when they got hired. So like,
So
you
all
know,
your employees, they have
Well,
different dates,
yeah, I mean, I only have 3 full-time, but
right? Okay.
yeah, their vacation resets. Now, sick leave is a little bit different because sick leave, even if we didn't offer extra sick leave, then we have to offer it because it's mandated, right, from the state. So sick leave, I believe, is a little bit different. And then sick leave also, you can only carry over a certain amount and then it goes away, right? Like if somebody quits or whatever, then you have to pay out unused vacation, but you don't pay out unused sick.
And I've actually had to dig into this very thoroughly with the state's vacation. If you offer PTO, you do not have to give
Right.
sick time.
Right.
You only have to give it to people who don't have PTO.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and that's one way that companies get away with, you know, they put everything under the PTO bucket.
Well, my question for the date thing, which one would you prefer? Would you prefer calendar year or would you prefer contract? year?
Well, just Tina, since we've always been doing it like contract, because that would just confound her.
Yeah,
Accounts is still gonna change.
so contract,
Yeah, that's what I was
I
saying.
think so.
okay. And including for the sick time?
Yeah, I believe it's still November. And just, I mean, personally, I mean, I have a daughter that lives in Alaska and I keep bugging my husband to like drive up there, but it is 2
That's a
weeks.
long
It's 2
drive.
weeks to take the Alcan. And then we can't just drive up there, turn around and come right back. So I kind of been hoping to keep some vacation so that I could really be gone for a month or at least 3 weeks and not. So-
Okay, and so we're changing to contract, and were we saying 5 days accrued vacation that can carry over to the next year?
That would be.
What has it been?
Well, it's been, there hasn't been a limit.
15 days.
There hasn't been-
Oh, for the carry, yeah. And everybody's different. My husband worked for a company that allowed carryover of all or any of it, such that when he became ill, he was able to use vacation time.
So what has the contract said in the past?
It didn't say.
It was
So-
This was
carried
just
over.
something we needed, she just told me this was something we needed to talk about, right?
So
To
we
make
could
it official to
so we
have to
could
carry over.
leave it as it was, or we can move it to 5. So that's our choice right now.
Or we could do more.
So leave it as it is she could keep all 15, she doesn't use a single personal thing.
We can't leave it as is, it sounds like, right?
Well,
We have to do
if
something.
we leave it as is, she can't carry over any, she has 15 days per year. She
Fine.
has to
Right,
use
but
them all.
that is a change from what's happened. That's already a change.
Yes, but it's not a, it's
It needs to be
not a contract,
defined.
it's not
Yeah,
a
it
contract,
needs to
it's
be
just
defined.
something that's happened. So it
Yes.
needs to be defined and added into the agreement.
Well, here's what I wish that my work would have done. I wish that my work would let me carry over 2 weeks, because I'm never gonna use them up, because in my brain, I always have to have a buffer. So maybe that would be a good compromise. Carry over
I like
2
that.
weeks, that's technically a month.
They
You probably
carry
never use them, you should never use them, right? But that gives
Well,
you
we
that-
have 15 days, so that's already, 1 week is already a month. Just 15 vacation days, and then you stay 5, right, so you're already a month.
so you get,
She gets 3 weeks.
okay, so 3 weeks, you carry over 2 weeks, that's 5 weeks.
get,
Okay, well, I guess either one works. Well, which one would you guys prefer?
I like the 10-week carryover.
Or the-
10 weeks.
10 weeks?
Oh, no, what did I say?
Yeah.
I want that too, I don't
I
everyone.
know, right?
Yeah, okay, stop. You know what I meant. 10, whatever it
2
was,
weeks.
days.
10 days.
Okay.
10 days?
Days, months.
So.
10-day carryover.
So she's allowed 15 days, and if she uses none of them, she loses 5.
10-day carryover, okay.
Do we need a motion on that?
Okay, but okay, just so I understand, but if I saved up all my vacation and carried over 2 more weeks, then at the beginning, then I would have
5
20.
weeks.
I'd have 25 days vacation.
Yes. If you didn't use any for a whole year,
Right.
then the next
Will that work with Alaska?
Yeah, I think so.
Why do you have to drive?
So,
Cause it's beautiful, my husband's driven it, my daughter's driven it.
I mean, we drove it
It's the
too.
contract done.
7,000
No.
miles.
We're good.
You don't have to do a separate motion with the list.
Okay. Thank you.
We had
My parents wait.
It's on my bucket list.
Okay,
Okay.
You better make sure I'm in town.
okay. So those were the things that we needed
I
to,
move that
Cover?
we, I make a motion for a 10-day.
No, we don't have to make a motion on the separate items.
We don't, okay,
When all the contracts done.
oh, okay,
Then we'll make.
that makes sense,
Sorry,
okay.
so next item in the contract.
that's it.
Oh.
So we update those dates, I put in the total, we've changed everything for the contract year versus calendar year with a 10-day carryover for the vacation.
So you're familiar with
I-
the Laura Lee, you know exactly what's going on now with the contract.
So,
Are you okay with that?
yeah, I mean, and this was the one with we updated.
Yes,
the-
it has your updated.
Yeah,
Okay, now.
I
Now you
move
make a motion.
That we, adopt the contract with the corrections that Kim has outlined.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second on this contract for Laura Lee. All in favor? Aye.
as confusing as this is, despite agreeing with the changes, I still believe the compensation package is more than we can afford, so I'm voting nay on this one.
I am also voting no.
That's 3-2. Okay, should we go to communication from the audience? No communication from the audience. Thank you. Thanks for being here on Zoom. Thanks for being here in person. Okay, remarks from the director. Any comments, Jeremy?
No, I think we covered everything pretty thoroughly.
Yeah, I have two things.
Okay.
One, I wanted to follow up with Lori. We're going to take all of our surveys and or consolidate them to give to Laura Lee. I'm wondering where the status of that is.
Wait, say that again, the surveys,
All of our
The director.
employment surveys that we did,
yes,
I'm curious what the status of that is. Have you already given them to her? Have you redone, you've remarked them
brought
so
them.
that they're not in our,
I brought them. And I will pass one out for each of you, including one for you. What I did is, averaged all the scores for each category and then a total. And then, thank you, Mark. I know, I'd like to keep one.
Oh.
And then, yeah, because I didn't have it. Thank you.
Laura, sorry, what are we talking about for a minute?
We did, it
Doing
was
survey comments.
the evaluation, the written evaluation for Laura Lee's executive session. When we, met and talked about performance.
Oh,
The performance
okay.
review, there's the word. So, you see in each category, there's a total average of all of us for each item and a subtotal of a particular category. And then at the top of page 1 is the final overall score. 2.8 out of 4, 2 being consistently meets expectations and above 2 meets and exceeds. Now, we had some commentary. And so I added, I added some comments that I picked up under community relations. And then, so I didn't write every single thing down, but everything that I tried to consolidate what was said into the gist of it. And then under the qualitative questions, the last section, I've listed the items that everybody that I took from all the written evaluations. So that's a collection of the answers. And I just noted them so that we could all see, what we thought.
You do still have the original?
Yes,
I would appreciate if Laura gets my original at some point.
okay. Glad.
Okay, 21, 22.
Yeah, I did have a question about that. Okay, so, I have been, so I have a couple of questions, or not even a couple of questions. So I've been appointed to the LBCC Budget Committee at college. And last week we did a 1-hour budget committee training with all of the budget committee people and the board members. So my first question is, do we have anything like that we do here? My second question to the same thing is, there are 2 open positions on our board, on our budget committee this year. And when do we start looking at filling those, and do we get to bring people in that we are interested in doing?
Well, generally, we start getting the word out to people that are interested, and then we, yeah, we decide.
Yeah.
I mean, the board decides.
Okay,
And
Okay.
we meet in,
and do we do a training for everybody, so the new board people and new committee members know what the process is?
Not so much a training, I usually give everybody like the timeline of the budget calendar, which I'll have that at the next meeting for you guys to look at. And then I explain to them that they get the documents ahead of time before the budget committee meeting, and then we have the budget committee meeting. So then they have time to, basically I just speak to them one-on-one. Because most of the people that are on the budget committee have been on the budget committee for a long time.
There's 5 of them and then 5 of us, correct?
And so we'll have 2 new budget committee people, plus Jeremy and I are new on the budget committee, so it could be helpful to have something so we understand what process we're looking at. They had a pretty comprehensive PowerPoint with a lot of information about how all the departments come up with the budgets that they ask for. It's schools, so the state does a lot of different approval
Yeah.
stuff, so there is more than what we have to do here.
Of course, you're comparing a huge college to a small community pool. So it might not require as extensive of training.
You're right, exactly, but it does require some training. You guys have been here for a long time, and so you've done it more than once. We've never done it, so having some kind of training is kind of important.
That's a good idea. So let's line that up where we find some training.
I don't know, I can look and see where I can find.
Okay.
I mean, and work with Laura Lee, because she has a agenda or a list or whatever, and just something where we could read through it and say, okay, we might have questions about, what does this mean, or where do you
Yeah.
go to get this information, or.
So generally, like, I give everybody the list or the calendar, the budget calendar. And then, so then they know what dates, and the main thing is the budget committee meeting. And then I hand out the draft documents, like, so they have a week to look over the information. And then usually at the budget committee meeting, that's when I like really go into detail of like what all the different categories are, where I came up with my figures, all that kind of stuff.
and we discuss.
Yeah, and then everybody asks questions about, well, why is this more, or why is this less, and, and it's usually a really good in-depth. And like last year, we had a newer person on the.
Mike.
Yeah, Mike Parsner. So he asked.
Yes,
several
like lots of questions.
Yeah,
So yeah, if you can find some
And
training.
is there only one meeting,
Yeah.
one budget committee meeting?
And so-
There's another if.
well, there's the budget committee meeting, and hopefully if I've done my homework right, then, and I don't make a bunch of errors or whatever,
Meet again.
then, then we meet again if I do make a bunch of messes, but we've never had to meet again. So then after the board like deliberates and asks a bunch of questions, then they recommend to the board that they accept the budget. And so then it goes back to the board, and then the board basically has it, and then they,
This is May.
yeah, May is our budget
So,
committee.
yeah.
It's like the
All months to get ready.
second Monday of May. And then you, at your normal board meeting, the third Monday, then you basically say that, you know, we recommend that we do this. Then we have the budget hearing, which is in June. And nobody ever comes to that meeting. But basically, again, we allow for public comment. And then if there's public comment or no public comment, then at the end of that meeting, then they close the budget hearing and then adopt the budget.
Okay, director's remarks?
Wait, I wanted to go back, because I was listed on
Oh,
30.1.
and we did skip that one, that's true.
Okay. And I don't know why I pointed out, because, our last meeting was December 15th, and I have really been enmeshed in some serious medical issue within the family, and I am just ready to, talk to you about, pool, you know, to check some of the tentative dates, and then, we will set our next meeting shortly, I expect, and I apologize for that, but honestly, couldn't be avoided right now, but at the same time, we had a nice storm, we had Christmas.
Did you say nice or ice?
The nice.
Okay.
Okay, no remarks. I don't have any more remarks, so.
I do. I'm sorry, you guys. This blew my mind kind of yesterday that Santa Clara's International Swim Center closed indefinitely for repairs. Now, Santa Clara, California, was known for a stretch of time as a swimming and diving mecca. And they happen to have, there's a little picture here. They have a 50-meter pool and they have this 25-yard pool. So basically that allows for national meets, international, or high school swim club. And they have a swim club there. A lot of people depend on this. A lot of Olympians go there to train. Well, their pool was built in 1966. Ours was built in 67. And this is not their first closure, but this is the first indefinite closure. And people literally came to swim practice early the next morning to find the signs of pool closed indefinitely. And I was just jaw dropped because this is run by the city of Santa Clara, and they have more than one pool. They are a mecca. That's not the only one, but this has had a lot of meets, continues to up until today. And one of the notable things was, when I say Olympic swimmers trained there and divers, because it has the 10-meter platform and the shorter and the boards and it's just wonderful. But Michael Phelps set a world record for the 200-meter butter, I am there, back in some date. Anyway, the reason that they're shut down has to do with they've had some repairs that sometimes close them, but this is some kind of, I couldn't get to the bottom of it, what it is, a catastrophic event that they had to close indefinitely and scramble to put people into other pools as much as they can, and it just made me go, look, this could be us. I don't want it to be us. So we'll get that fundraising committee going and, get us a resolution. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Lorraine.
That's my 2 cents.
With that, I'm going to move that we adjourn our meeting. And we meet again in February.
February 19th.
And Fed 19.
Can I have a second to my
I'll
motion?
second the request.
Yeah.
Close and second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Lorraine, do you happen to have a comment to go over or to show me this, like, controller thing?
Well,
I second.
Without
Sure.
board
I
approval,
mean-
I won't be touching anything because that would be really bad.